So now's when I started getting into actually some of the instrumentation elements. I ended up adding a lead, pianos, a couple different piano groups. You can see here I have some strings and then another strings group. The first thing I added was these first simple piano chords. They're just octaves that I'm playing. I'm using stock Ableton patches. This is grand piano equal mellow production. I talked about this in a past tutorial. I'll link in the description. If you haven't seen it, if you're interested, you can go to the music production playlist. It's titled something like how to make stock piano patches in Ableton Live sound great or something like that. And I was just talking about being able to take some of these stock patches if you are using live and you don't have a lot of extra money to splurge on, high-end VSTs. So this was just something simple. It's actually these octaves, and then I have layered just a one piano hit. It's actually a sample, and I just layered that. You'll hear what that sounds like. Next up, I have a group of 4 pianos. Like I talked about in that video, some of these are at different delays. So I have this one at 50 milliseconds. This one's at -30, so it comes in kind of a pre. And then these are coming down right on the time. The whole group is delayed by 20 milliseconds. So what that sounds like together. So I've got 3 of the exact same patches. One is an octave higher, it's hard panned right. One is, at the bass octave or an octave lower, and it's hard panned left. And then I have another one that kind of sits in the middle. Then on top of that, I added a Rhodes piano. Again, these are all stock instruments in live, and that's how I layered and filtered and added some basic delay to come up with that stack of sounds. One other instrument that I added is very, very subtle. It's just a very simple chord. It is a trumpet. This is also a stock patch in live. Very subtle, very far pushed back in the mix. You may not even notice it, but it is there. Okay, so on the final stretch, the last couple instruments are both strings. I have 2 string groups, all stock sounds in live. String ensemble, I have a string ensemble again, it's a pitch down an octave, and these are panned a little bit. One is right, one is left, and then this one is up an octave. This is an ensemble legato. So this is just some filler strings for, I believe, the hook section. I also have ensemble string staccato in this last group. 2 instruments here layered, you can see. One's 16R, 20L, one's got delay. So I'm getting more width to the sound and making a bigger sound just from a basic patch. So these are just like quick stabs. You can see they're very staccato. I mean, it's a staccato instrument, but the notes are very staccato. Added some delay to it so it kind of carries over. So the last element for this instrumental is this lead synth. It's called Arcade Token Lead in Omnisphere. Kind of a cool patch. It cuts through the mix. You can probably see here I did some rather weird, I would consider this rather weird EQing right here. I don't know why I have high pass filter and then a low pass filter and then an 8-band EQ. I think I just started, typically I'll start with a single band EQ, and then I decided that I wanted to introduce this, and so I just left this instead of combining this all into one. Anyway, the idea is obviously I'm rolling off low end, I'm rolling off a little bit of this high, and this 1K frequency for whatever reason was giving me problems when I was mixing this track down. And I don't do this type of extreme stuff and shaping the sounds that much too often like this. It came down to, I had all these elements in there. I had a lot of stuff that I was trying to get to work in the mix, and the lead I was having problems with, and I tried a lot of different things. I was experimenting with layering some different sounds, trying some different sounds all together, and then I just ended up kind of taking it step by step and ended up actually dipping all this out. And I got it to sound, I didn't get it sounded perfect how I wanted, but I got it to sound, good enough where it's cutting through, but it wasn't having really harsh frequencies coming through at this 1K range, obviously, because I dipped the whole damn things out. So like I said, I don't typically do this type of extreme shaping, I guess, with the sounds, but that's just what I ended up doing with this. So this is what the lead sound sounds like. Those are essentially the elements that went into this. These last couple tracks are just some industry acapellas that I was playing around with. I like to do that a lot of times to test out, first off, what type of MCs would sound good over it, to get a sense of what a flow would sound like, or some sort of lyrics would sound like over the instrumental. Can also help you with placing instruments and actually mixing the track. I've talked about that in past videos of using acapellas as a kind of a mixing strategy to give you a different perspective on what that would sound like with vocals over it. Obviously, getting the levels right, the mixing, spending time on that can a lot of times be the make or break in terms of an artist being interested in your tracks, or just the perception of other producers or whoever is listening to your music. The mix is one of the most important things. A lot of producers have asked me time and time again to do mixing tutorials, and I've done some tips, but I would say when it comes to mixing as a standalone discipline, I would say that there are a lot other channels out there on YouTube and sites and different things like that people dedicate their entire lives just to mixing. I will link my top 10 tips, if I remember, for my top 10 mixing tips that I put out, and I talked about a couple references at the end of resources that you can look for, different tutorials, different video resources and information on mixing to get some more in-depth tips specifically on that. So let me know in the comments if there's anything specifically you'd like me to go into more detail on. If you have any video submission questions, they're going to take priority. If you have any questions where you can screen capture in your session that you have a question about something, or a question you want to ask through a video form, you want to put a camera up and ask a question about production or anything related, send that video or a link to that unlisted video to ask@TCustomz.com. If you made it this far, this is probably going to be up in a two-part series because I feel like it went on super long. Please make sure to give it a thumbs up on both the videos. Subscribe if you haven't already. There's going to be a lot of other production tips, beat making videos, again, all that stuff that I mentioned before will be linked in the description. I'm uploading new videos on a regular basis every week, multiple times per week, so definitely I would appreciate it. And you can also connect me. All the social media will be linked in the description as well. Again, if you ever have any doubts about where to get resources or where to link to any of my other things as far as my site, kits, anything, that's always going to be in the description of all the videos. I want to say thanks for sticking with me. If you stuck with me this long, I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching again. Peace.